Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the NHL Sports Podcast. My name is Jacob. Deshaun is joining me for today's episode, and we're talking about the best teams of the decade from each of the big four North American sports leagues. We're going to go from the NHL to the NBA to the NFL, then the MLB. So we're going to pick one team from 1 year that was the best team of that league of the decade. If there was a tournament where each team who won or was the best team played each other, this team would be the best. So we're going to start with the NHL. And, why don't I begin? We're going to start with the NHL. And I think that the best NHL team of the decade was the 2013 Chicago Blackhawks. It was, I was a little bit reluctant to pick a team in the lockout year, but the Blackhawks were so much better than every other team this season. They won the Stanley Cup this season as well. In a shortened 48-game season, they managed to win, 36 of these games. They lost 7 and lost 5 in overtime, which was light years better than any other team in the NHL. The Penguins were also good that year. They had 36 wins, but ultimately, Chicago Blackhawks won the Cup, but the Penguins lost all 12 of the games that they did not win, whereas 5 of them for the Blackhawks were in overtime.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I agree. They were dominant. Patrick Kane, over point per game. He had 55 points. Taves was a point per game. Crawford had a 1.94 goals against, and Ray Emery was 17-1 with the 1.94 goals against, and they also had 7 shutouts. They put up 77 points that year in only 48 games. So, over an 82 game span, that probably is along what Tampa Bay did last year.
Well, I don't know if they can maintain the way they played to such a degree over that long
no,
season.
That's the point. I'm seeing the point percentage.
Yeah. But, I looked at the Penguins in 16-17. I looked at the Capitals in 2018. But, the Blackhawks were so good that year. They were simply tremendous. It was... I could not pick them. And I didn't even want to pick, like I said, I didn't want to pick a team in the lockout year. But the Blackhawks were so good this year. And they won the Cup. You gotta win the Cup to be in this discussion, really. But since we agree on that, all over the board. There were all-stars all over this team. Like you said, forward core, D core, even the goaltending was good. Although Corey Crawford isn't the best goalie, they were pretty good that year. So we'll move on to the NBA. I may be surprised if you don't think that the 2016-2017 Golden State Warriors were the best team over the decade in the NBA. Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Draymond Green, 4 All-Stars in your starting 5, plus a very good Andre Iguodala. This team was deep too. Sean Livingston, I think, is underrated. He was a good player on this team, a great backup guard. Zaza didn't even put up awful numbers. Matt Barnes didn't put up awful numbers. This was a deep team. They had JaVale McGee as well. I know he wasn't the player that he is now when he played for the Warriors, but JaVale McGee, David West isn't a scrub. Patrick McCaw, up-and-coming player, 3 for 3. Goated Patrick McCaw. I think, this team is the best, arguably the best team in NBA history. 67-15. This is arguably the best team in NBA history, just off the amount of talent. They cruised through the playoffs. They lost 1 game the entire playoffs, which was in the finals to the Cavaliers.
That was game 4 that they lost, so they could have swept through the entire playoffs.
That's insane. They swept the Blazers. They swept the Jazz. They swept the Spurs, who were very good that year, by the way. The Spurs won 61 games that year, and they swept them in the conference finals. 4-1 to the Cavs. What's your take?
I absolutely agree. I think you'd be idiotic to not think the Warriors were the best team of the decade. That exact Warriors team, that was their first year. They were all healthy, playing to the best of their capabilities. There's not really too much you can say. That was just the best team that was there.
You would want to. There obviously was a 73-9 team. That team did not win an NBA championship, and I think that this season they kind of realized that they shouldn't go chasing that many wins, because I think they ran out of gas ultimately at the end of that season in 2016 when the Cavs reversed that 3-1 deficit. Because the Cavs are a little bit more well rested, I guess they could kind of take over those games later in the series. And I think that even though none of them won MVP that year, because Russ won MVP that year, I think it was more so team oriented because there's so many stars you had to share the ball. It wasn't just a ball dominant Steph Curry. So not much argument in this scenario, I don't think. We'll move to NFL. I have the same year, 2016-2017, New England Patriots. This was the year that they reversed a 28-3 deficit to the Atlanta Falcons. Just stars all over this roster. I mean, Tom Brady, arguably the best quarterback of all time, best football player of all time, best NFL player of all time. A lot of people consider him the GOAT. You have arguably the best tight end of all time, Rob Gronkowski. Julian Edelman is a great player. LeGarrette Blount is a great player. I mean, you had Ben on this team, you had Nate Solder on this team. Bill Belichick is your coach, the best coach in NFL history. Malcolm Butler was tremendous this season. I believe he was a Pro Bowler. There was great players all over this team. What's your best NFL team of the decade?
My best NFL team, and this is kind of one of my favorite teams watching probably this decade, was the 2014 Seattle Seahawks. The Legion of Boom defense. LOB. Just watching, Richard Sherman, I'm the best corner in the game. Don't you ever try with the sorry receiver like Crabtree. Marshawn Lynch running through everyone. The emergence really of Russell Wilson into, an MVP caliber quarterback. But yeah, just watching the defense and just how well that defense played. And
I mean, they limited the Denver Broncos to 8 points in the Super Bowl.
That was the year the Denver Broncos, I think, were the number one offense in the league as well. So, it was... For me, that was the most dominant performance I saw.
I think a lot of it is down to, Peyton Manning is notorious for not performing in playoffs, so it could be down to that. But I respect this take. I just personally think the Patriots are a bit better. But this is an unbelievable team. Russell Wilson, tremendous. Marshawn Lynch, one of the best running backs of all time, undoubtedly, beast mode. Doug Baldwin is great. Golden Tate was great then. There is great players all this, and like you said, that defense is unbelievable with guys like Cam Chancellor, Earl Thomas. Did Cam Chancellor win Super Bowl MVP in this one?
I do not think he did. I think actually.
It was Malcolm Smith, actually. I thought Cam Chancellor won Super Bowl MVP one year.
Well, nope, not with the...
All right, well, regardless, tremendous team. Tremendous team as well.
Yeah, they're first in their division.
Why do you put them above New England though?
The defense. The number one the thing for me is I always like watching great defenses and how they'll play, and they were just so efficient and literally they were just loud. They were in your ear. They knew they would shut you down. And they told you about it, and everyone, from their linebackers to their safeties, they just shut you, you couldn't do anything against them. So when it came to it, that's just the team that I personally believe is the best in the decade. And when it comes to it, in 2015 when they faced the New England Patriots again with the interception on the 1 yard line.
Yep.
Seattle should have won that game, right? So the best,
but they didn't.
Right, but they didn't. But but that's what I'm saying. So the best team in the decade for me, should have won the game against the best team in the decade for you.
No. That was 2015. I'm talking about 2017.
No, I understand.
Patriots.
I understand, but same team. You know what I mean. So that's just why I think they were the best team, and that was the year that they actually won. So you could put them in the best team.
I think Gronk was injured for that game, though, if I'm not mistaken, or
he was injured
during the season. He was injured for that game. Something like I don't know if Gronk...
No, he missed an entire playoffs, but I'm pretty sure it was the one where they won in Atlanta that he missed.
No.
He didn't miss the last one.
Are you sure?
He missed an entire playoffs where they won the Super Bowl, but it was not the last one.
Okay.
It wasn't the year that just passed.
Okay.
But I'm almost certain that
he missed... then you know what? It was the Atlanta one.
Yeah.
It was the Atlanta one. Okay. That's fair enough. I mean, yeah, maybe if that Malcolm Butler play goes different, maybe I'm picking the Seahawks right now. But ultimately, I love to bring this up, by the way. Ultimately, inside the 1 yard line, you did not give the football to one of the best running backs of all time, who is notorious for running through players. You know what he said? Do you see what he said yesterday, Marshawn Lynch? He said, like, if a defender's trying to stop you, you run through them, they won't try to stop you again. Something like that. And you tried to throw the ball. You know what? It all came down to Pete Carroll wanted to make Russell Wilson the hero. And he didn't, because it was Russell Wilson's team to a degree. And Malcolm Butler, that if you really watch that interception, that is an unbelievable defensive play. And they still should have scored on that throw. But come on, you give the ball to Marshawn Lynch on the 1 yard line, right?
No, I agree. And I agree. I'm just saying the 2014 Seattle Seahawks, for me, are just the team of the decade when it comes to the NFL. Like, I think they would have beat
I can respect this opinion.
Yeah.
I can respect that. We'll move to the final of the big four North American leagues, the MLB. I feel like this is where we're going to differ a little bit, and Deshaun is more of a baseball guy than I am. But from what I saw this decade, I feel as though the 2015 Kansas City Royals were the best team of the decade. I mean, there was at least 8 guys who could bat in that batting order. They had great pitching with Volquez, Ventura, Guthrie, even a guy like Johnny Cueto, even though he didn't play that well that year. And they were just a tremendous, tremendous team. Offensively, the pitching was pretty good, and they were great on defense. And I remember them, the Blue Jays came up against them in the...
that same World Series. That same ALCS.
Yeah, and as good as the Blue Jays were, this was a special Kansas City Royal team that they were unfortunate to run into. And maybe that's kind of part of my decision, because I remember watching the Jays lose to them, but I feel as though this is the most complete roster of the decade. I was thinking about taking the San Francisco Giants in the 2014 season, but I'm leaning towards the 2015 Royals. How do you feel?
I agree with you. So I watched that World Series, and obviously that series against
The LCS.
The LCS, and they came into Toronto and slapped us 14-2 one day, Game 3. And Kansas City, they were the only team of the decade to actually not win the World Series, like hitting a lot of home runs. They just did the fundamentals, base hits, stole bases.
That's how you get it done.
They stole 7 bases in a wild card game against Oakland. Like, they were just a team that was just gritty and kind of, won the dirty way in baseball. A lot of teams shy away from. Mm-hmm. However, the team I picked, because that Kansas City Royal team that you're talking about that won, they actually lost to the San Francisco Giants the year before. They were in the World Series. They lost the year before. So it was just happened that they didn't have to face San Francisco the second time. So it's kind of.
But I think they elevated themselves the next. So you picked the 2014 Giants?
So no, I actually pick, because just what I saw all the way through, the 2018 Red Sox have my pick. Their amount of hitting and pitching and the way they got it done, the best team in the league in terms of hitting, and then their aces, like Chris Sale usually is never healthy that long, but he was, and they got it done. And they won. I think that 2018 Red Sox team could have beat any single team that was in the World Series the entire decade. I think they were dominant. They have power hitters all through their lineup, like 1 through 8. Just everyone was really, really good in that team. They have MVP Mookie Betts on the team. Like, it's just, that was a team that was primed to win.
Yeah, again, this is another one where I'm not going to argue. I respect this opinion. I just think I feel a little bit better about the batting order for the Royals in 2015. And I get that, I almost took the Giants, and I get that you said the Giants beat them, but I think the Royals elevated themselves enough that next year to be just such a tremendous force in the World Series and just, I guess, throughout the entire playoffs. But, a tremendous Boston Red Sox team. You have Kimbrel closing, just lights out there. Guys like Chris Sale, David Price, Rick Porcello even had a career year that season. So, I respectfully disagree. I picked the Royals, but I can definitely see this train of thought. I maybe on a different day I'm picking the Red Sox. But that'll end it for this episode. Those are the best teams of the decade. Let us know if you think we got it wrong. If there's another team that is the best team of the decade, you can let us know on Twitter, Instagram at AmateurPDC. Comment on YouTube, Amateur Sports. Follow us on Spotify. Subscribe on YouTube. And come back soon. We post an episode every single day. We'll see you again tomorrow for another episode.